Hey, hello, how are you? So, let me welcome you to this introduction to GitHub Action session. My name is Alberto Camarena, and I'm your majorly hacking coach from Mexico, right? So, um, as always, I would like to test my mic. If you can hear me, you can see me well. I would like to be very honest with you. I am not in my current, my regular setup. I'm in a current setup that it's not so controlled. So if everything fails during the stream, don't worry. I will try to get my connection back. In the meantime, let me share with you the link for the check-in to this session. So give me a second. And I like when you hackers are so participative here on the comment section, right? So here's the link. And I also like to share with you the repo of this session. So here's the repo. If anything, don't worry. You always have the recording of the session plus the okay. Yeah, it take the README file, but don't worry. Um, yeah, I was saying that you will always have the repo, and in repo there's the code plus the slides, right? I'm amazed right now. Like I'm promoting this too much because I just love the tool, but I'm creating my slides for these sessions with a tool called MARP. You can find more about that on the repo. So let me start sharing. Give me a second. Hyper. In the meantime, when I'll start sharing, I will talk to you about the intention of it. Um, if you saw the message on Discord, go develop Global Hack Week Cloud, and this is for GitHub Actions. So you saw the message on Discord, and we're automating process here. So let me open now the slides, do presentation, and now I need to share. Give me a second for that. Yeah, loud. Yeah, Markdown, it's the best. I am totally with you. I know Markdown is the best. I can now share just the tab. I can share. Okay, okay. So I'll do that again. They made the changes here on Firefox. Previously, I was allowed to share just one tab. Right now, I don't. Okay, perfect. This window. Okay, now here we are. And let me move myself here. Oh, there were an option when I can add myself for this in a small. Okay, okay, no worries. The important thing is that you see the presentation. So let me see if I can. Okay, yeah, perfect. Right now, we have this comment from AllGuy02 saying Markdown is the best. I agree a lot. I really love Markdown and all the Markdown ecosystem tools that they have been developed by the community. For example, this MARP tool, it's open source. So open source week, it's coming up. I'm planning to do some interesting contributions to that repo. But for example, think about Obsidian and how you can write Markdown directly on it. I really love it. That's the main reason why I'm using Obsidian and not Notion, just for the Markdown. Um, And plus, I totally not feel related to Marknets, to Notion. I feel that the way Obsidian changes how it's connecting to the file system. Um, I just really love it. But yeah, that's not the topic of the session. Let's start with this introduction to GitHub Actions. Let's see the agenda. We will see what CI and CD is, continuous integration, continuous deployment. What are GitHub Actions, alternative to this, because of course, it's great to know the core ideas behind the tools, not be familiar just with the tools, right? Why GitHub Actions? Because if there's alternatives, why I'm choosing to do GitHub Actions then, right? The use cases and the integrations, and we are going to check how to write our GitHub Actions. And for that, we are going to understand YAML and the workflow of the structure, sorry, the structure of the workflow, the other way, breakdown of the workflow file, some examples, demos, and a summary and question and answer session, right? So, what is CI/CD? As I told you before, it's continuous integration and continuous deployment. Continuous integration means that you can automatically test and merge the code that you make changes for, right? So with this, you ensure the quality and the stability of your software. And the other part is the continuous deployment. Once you have this code tested and you're ready and for sure that your integration won't break, then you can make the deployment. Yeah. So which part takes GitHub Actions in all of this? GitHub Actions, it's a tool for CI/CD that allows you to automate a lot of things in GitHub directly. So the main advantage of GitHub Actions is that it is where your code lives. You don't need an extra tool, an extra dashboard, an extra anything. It's directly where you're storing your code. Otherwise, you're using other repo alternatives like Gitbucket or GitLab. Well, if you don't using one of them, uh, GitHub Actions just make a lot of sense, and it uses YAML syntax for defining workflows. If you're not familiar with YAML, it's yet another markup language. So very silly name, but also very informative because it's really simple to use. I swear, it's really simple. If you're familiar, for example, with JSON structure, it's like that in the way it's structured. It is the only difference that you don't have brackets, but you have tabs to change. Well, the indentation change the how to say that the belonging of where these objects are, right? So it also supports, and this is one of the greatest advantages too, uh, a lot of let's say marketplaces actions that you can directly download from internet. So there's a lot of pieces of software, a lot of automations pre-made for you by the community and by many other software developers that supports a project, for example. So it supports custom and the community actions, right? You can find the link on the slides for the official documentations, and remember the slides are in the repo. Yeah, alternatives. Let's talk about that. We have Jenkins, we got GitLab, we have Circle CI, and we have Travis. All of them great, I have to say. And there's no bad tool here. One of the main advantages of these tools are that, for example, Jenkins is self-hosted, GitLab CI, Circle CI, Travis CI are cloud, but also, except for Travis, they are self. The notable features are for Jenkins highly customizable. Sorry, GitLab has a great integration with GitLab, same as GitHub Action has great integration with GitHub, of course. The Circle CI has a fast and it is very fast and scalable. Travis CI, it's that simple setup for any operating system. And well, in this case, talking more about why GitHub Actions, it has this seamless integration with GitHub. That's the main point here. Uh, One of the convenience I found in these GitHub Actions, it's that you have all inside GitHub. You don't need anything else, right? I talked to you about the easy to use syntax of the YAML files. It has flexible workflows, and this one, it's just lovely. I already mentioned the marketplace pre-built actions. So you can find very powerful actions for you to use ready, right? You can take them from the community. Many of them are open source. You can fork them, you can read them, you can understand it, and you can learn from them, which is very, very important. And also, it is free for public repositories. It has also a limit free integration for private ones. Uh, but yeah, for heavy duties, you will have to pay for it, right? But the same as other products of GitHub, they has a great think my connection blipped a little. I hope I'm back. If I miss any information or you miss anything, just let me know here in comments and I can repeat that. Don't worry. Um, well, yeah, I was talking about the prices. Yeah, we use these GitHub Actions where I work to generate reports for every pull request, to do our tests, and for deploying some of our projects. We were kind of migrating the deployment or the CD workflows, not for any specific reason, because we kind of like other alternative for the cloud we're using, which is AWS. But that doesn't mean that GitHub Actions are not great, right? So let's continue with this. The use cases and integrations, automated testing, building and deploying applications, dependency updates, and code quality checks. I have seen these in many projects that are open source, and you've probably seen it too, that have like these flags telling you what's the current status of their deployment, what's the current status of the testings, what's the current status of the current build, or things like that. And I just love those signals or those flags that allows you to be aware of the health of report, things like that, you know. So you can be testing continuously if any dependency is failing, if any changes of software or any update, because we know in software everything changes one day to another. So it's easier for you to maintain projects with this, right? It has great integrations with all the cloud providers, with Docker, and with even I implement this in my own company with messages for Slack and Team. I haven't tried Slack, but I think there are better integration with the ones we have in Teams. Actually, the one in Teams was kind of harder, but yeah, you can implement that type of notifications to say like, for example, hey team, a new major update to our UI package was released. Please be aware and update your projects. Or hey team, for example, we have one just saying or generating weekly reports about the changes in dependencies, and one that allows you to notify not only via the GitHub mail, but with a direct message that you have request pull request review, right, or some things like that, which I think it's completely amazing. Yeah, I really love the automation, and well, probably as developers, as IT person, as engineers, you do too. So GitHub Actions, it's a great tool for that. So let's start writing our GitHub Actions. Where you can find them, how you can create them, this kind of stuff. This is the action for that. We are going to find YAML files. So you are going to create a file just called .yaml. Well, not that the name of your file, then .yaml. And that will be stored in a folder that is .github/workflows/ and then the name of your file. And each workflow consists of three main parts: the trigger, the job, and the step. Not they are not how to say that. One file can have multiple triggers, multiple jobs, and multiple steps. I recommend you to take a look to the documentation to see good practices. For example, why having multiple triggers in one file when you can have multiple files, right? And so on and so on and so on. What I have done is that I, for specific cases, have found useful to have multiple jobs occurring in one trigger, and in one job you have multiple steps. That's normal. The job thing, it is because you have different workers, to say so, different computers or different instances of servers doing that actions. But we can see that in a moment on the job slide, right? And you can use predefined or custom actions. We already mentioned that. I see we have a comment. Let me check. Can you share the slides, please? Yeah, for sure. It's in here in this repo I just shared. There is a folder called slides, and there is the markdown file and the HTML file. You can open the HTML file in the browser directly, same as here, the thing I'm doing. If you put attention, this is not a web page or anything, or even a PDF. This is a HTML file I have in my computer. They're on GitHub, but I think you can have a clone. I wrote a comment. Yeah, no, you don't have to generate them. I put the instructions if you want, but there's already the HTML file. So I cloned the repo, but slice, it's not readable. Yeah, if you have to open the HTML file directly in the browser, so you can see something like this. And once you're here, for example, you can come, uh, right click, and well, or you can just Command P or Control P, depend on your operating system or on your browser. For example, in Chrome, if you right click, you will see an option that it's print, and you can print them as a PDF, and that will be more readable, like in your browser, right? But that will be the flow of it. You cannot open the HTML directly on your text editor because, again, yeah, I know it's not going to be readable. What you can do if you don't want to do this thing of opening the HTML in the browser, you can install the MARP extension on VS Code, and when you open the preview for the Markdown file, you will see the slide template, right? So again, kudos to Mark because that integration is just awesome. But I can understand for some people it can be a little more complicated. So thanks for the feedback there. I will upload the PDF after the session is done, and I will do the same for the future sessions. Yeah, thanks for the feedback. Writing some GitHub actions then. Oh, now it's not updating. Why is that? Okay, yeah, they changed now. Sorry. So I cloned the repo with the slides. It's not readable, and there is no clickable link. Oh yeah, I already answered that. Okay, writing GitHub actions. I don't know why they are not changing right now, but hey, if I resize this, Okay, okay. Sorry. Uh, well, then, understanding this YAML. Okay, understanding this YAML. I told you yet another markup language. It's used for the configuration. That's what YAML stands for. Uses indentation instead of brackets. That's I think I already mentioned. And it has key pair values as structure, same as a JSON file, right? An example will be this. I told you we have triggers that will be the on, jobs that will be a label for this job, and then steps. And steps have usually name and the comment, right? Name, it's just the name of the action. This is an example workflow. Here, for example, we can omit in some cases the names, and we can add more. These runs on just tells that we are using Ubuntu operating system in our server or in our worker to run this job. What else? Well, let's see step by step, right? Breaking down the file, we have the name, which defines the workflow name, and it helps identify on the dashboard which one we are trying to debug or running on, or to have the information of. Then run name, it's used to define a dynamic name. This one we can omit, but I strongly recommend having one because we can find not only the for example, as the previous the name, here we can find a different number of the action. So think of this way. You can have multiple actions running. So they are called the same. Like, for example, if you do three pull requests, you will have a pull request action in the name. But for example, for the run name, you can say this pull request belongs to the pull request number one, and the other one it will be pull request two, and the third one will be pull request three. So that's the difference between the name and the run name, right? The run name it's reassigned every time the action is run, and the name stands like that forever. Uh, Both can be used. So you will see an example of this. The triggers on specify which of the workflows runs. When their workflows run on which GitHub action or GitHub event. Let's say that way. On which GitHub event. So these are just examples. For example, a push, a pull request, or you can schedule with cron jobs. There's a full list of these events or triggers that we can check, but this is just an example, right? And we have options. For example, we can say, for example, for this push, only for the main branch or except for the main branch. And we can check and change how this configuration works depending on our specific requirements or needs to the project. The jobs. The jobs define what thing is going to be executed. So on trigger, the previous, on a pull request, the job will be what we are going to do. What we're going to do. In this case, we are calling this the build. Build is the label. And so we are saying on Ubuntu machine, on the Ubuntu worker, the step will be to check out the repository. Check out the repository. It's like it will be the first step every time for a job, just to say, okay, computer, go to my repo information, place yourself in the repo, right? And the steps, that's it. That's do step by step by step. So here you see we don't check out because we're not doing anything to the repo. We're just printing a message, hello world. So take a look at this. The difference between uses and run. Run, it's a specific command we are creating. So it is like accessing to the badge of the worker of the server, and you ask it to do this terminal command, echo hello world, and you will see the output on the logger of the GitHub dashboard. With this, the uses says that there is an action that already exists, and so if we take this uses action checkout and we inspect it in the marketplace, we will see that there are many lines of codes that this only one runs, because it knows it refers to an action that already exists. So imagine this as a function. We don't have to add all the instruction to do a checkout that will be, I don't know, first initialize your credentials on GitHub on that computer, then move to the repo, clone it first, then move to the repo, initialize it, step on the branch you are, right? So that will be like 5, 6 steps, and that will be just resumed in using this action. Here, no. Here we just say echo hello world, and that's how steps works. We have one step, next another, next another, next another, and that a series of steps configures a job. We can have one job or multiple jobs in one workflow, but we mainly will be having 2 or 3 triggers, or one even, but at least we need one, right? in the workflow. So um, we talked about this using pre-built actions. GitHub Actions Marketplace has reusable actions. For example, the one we mentioned before, the checkout, right? An example of a simple CI workflow will be this. In this one, we understand that this is a continuous integration pipeline that will be trigger every push and every pull request. No branch, no exceptions, no anything. Just in every push and every pull request to the GitHub repo, this will be triggered, and the job will be called build. And with that build, we are going to check out, then install dependencies, and then run some tests. Why this is important? Because for running tests, you may say, why do I need to install the dependencies? Well, you are installing Jest, for example, or you are installing the required testing library that you need to do. Uh, so, for example, this npm install actually it has a node and a way to install packages that it's called CI, and that's not for C continuous integration. I think that stands more for clean install, right? So that's very used for CI and CD workflows. That's for a computer that it's completely new and will have a clear vision of what you're doing, right? So, a little summary in this before we pass to the repo and to the doing this ourselves with live coding. I just want to mention that GitHub Actions is a powerful tool for automation, and this automation can be separated in these two major fields: continuous integration and continuous deployment. But just think of them just as automating tasks, and I will say even more, because CI and CD has specific purposes. GitHub Actions can help you do a lot of automation in general. It's YAML based, so it's easy to configure. You don't have to worry about hard syntaxes. It's very flexible. It's composed of triggers, jobs, and steps. You can play with them, you can configure them, you can have many options in order to check what they're doing, and it also supports community actions that I have to admit it had made my life simpler in many ways. And it's not that they make your life simpler, but it helps you to create powerful, but really powerful things with the help of the community. And you can then give to the community by contributing them back later. So I want to make a pause before I go to the Visual Studio. It's any question so far? Besides the slides, I know I already told you. Don't worry, I will upload the PDF to the repo. Sandra, Alguy, any question? Okay. If no, don't worry. I will stop sharing that screen, and I will move to. Okay, give me a second. I will move to the GitHub action. I want to see if right now I don't have two screens, like I just have one. Screen share, allow a screen or a window screen. Okay, yeah, I'll have to share my full screen, so don't worry. Okay, I will share this screen fully. I'm sorry for the video loop that's happening here, but let's move to this readme, right? Also, if you were wondering about the slides, yeah, I told you this it's not readable. You can come here, and if you have the Mart extension installed, you can open the preview, and you will see the markdown file as the slides. If you don't worry, you can click the HTML file and say like open with and just select your browser on reveal in Finder, and if you double click an HTML file, it will directly open that on your browser. So we can close the slides. In the README of the whole project, you will see that there is the resources, and in the resources you can find a link to the official documentation. So let's open that. Here on the official documentation, we can find about the GitHub Actions. I already told you about this. We can find the understanding on them, what's continuous integration, what's continuous deployment. You can take a look out better for better understanding of this. The Write workflows, it has a quick start about workflows, use workflows templates, choose when workflows run, the triggers, choose where workflows run, the workers, and choose what workflows do, the jobs and the steps, and workflow syntax and stuff. There you can have more detailed and specific information like managing the workflows and deployments, share automations, monitor and troubleshoot, GitHub host runner and self-host runner. We saw these in the table when we were presenting the other alternatives, the alternatives to GitHub Actions. Well, here we have both also. GitHub hosted and self-hosted. I normally just do GitHub hosted. I haven't tried self-hosted, but hey, there's always a first time for everything, right? So we have security measurements, use cases and examples, and how to migrate to GitHub Actions if you come from our CI/CD alternative, guides and etc. Right? So the repo I share with you, which is GitHub Author, and this will be GitHub Actions. Well, yeah, this will have big GitHub Actions, right? So let's open it. I will show you, like for example, here they call about the slides, about the repository. This repo consists of a number of GitHub Actions workflows that trigger on different events. Different branches are used to demonstrate different workflows, right? So take a look to the repo branches to see the different workflows in action. So let's take a look then to the Hello Actions. These in Hello Actions, we have our .github/workflows folder, and we will see here that we have a Hello Actions YAML. Here, and I will do this on the Visual Studio because I think it's more readable. Here we are going to change to that branch. We can see this git checkout to Hello Actions. We change to this branch, and here on our GitHub we have the workflows file, and from here, from here, let's see again the changes we made. So the name for this is Hello GitHub Actions, and put attention to this. I'm going to do on purpose some changes to this file just to run save the changes and push them later, because the trigger for this it's going to be a push event, right? So the run name will be dynamically my GitHub actor name. So this will say Alberto47, which is my GitHub handle, is testing out GitHub Actions. Perfect. So if you're if you're curious about what this is a dynamic variable. So in this variable, we are going to access the GitHub global environment, and it has an actor in it. Where you can learn about this, it's in the documentation. So for example, let's check in about continuous deploying, improve. Let me check where you can check that directly about workflows. When trigger use event, choose a runner, workflow syntax. Okay, let's see here if that's in workflow syntax. Name, run name. Okay, here on context, let's open this one of GitHub. Okay, we have been redirected about the context. So in this is in choose what workflows do, and it's context. So this context, it's where you can access the information for the workflows and actions. There are many contexts. There's the GitHub context, so you can have information about your GitHub repository as the author, as the pull request number, as the type of event you're triggering, the environments. Sorry, no, the environments. No, we have another context for that. So this in context information you can find in here. Again, I have to admit, like the documentation for these GitHub Actions from GitHub, it's really cool. I think it's one of the best I have tried. Really, you can find all the information in there, and you don't have to be Googling out anything. For example, the variables, the jobs, the steps, the runners, some secrets. The ones you would probably be using a lot are the GitHub, the environments, the secrets. In some cases, depend on what you're trying to do, the inputs, and the bars, right? So we can return here. We see that the GitHub context has the actor. So this will be Alberto47, as I mentioned to you. And it's going to say every time it runs Alberto, it's testing out GitHub Actions. So on every push, we're going to have a job that it's going to be called the job is going to be called or labeled as explore, GitHub Actions. Then the runs on. So, for example, here I have this that tells you a lot of information. So in VS Code, um, I'm not sure, but I think that comes from the extension of GitHub Actions. Yeah, they have an extension of GitHub Actions that you can try. And when you are in your YAML file, you'll probably have things like this that tells you what you're doing or what this is for. Each job must have an ID to associate with the job. So this job label will be Explore GitHub Actions, right? Runs on, it tells you, it defines the type of machine to run the job. We're going to do Ubuntu latest. But also they don't have the alternatives here, but okay, Ubuntu latest will be like the safe choice every time, sorry. So that, trust me in that. Then the steps. Java contains a sequence of tasks called steps, right? Here, for example, we didn't give name to these first three, then we give name to this checkout, then we didn't give name to these other two, and then we give name again to this. So put attention, every step can be many numbers or many lines of these actions, and some of the key values can be run, name, uses, for example. In some other cases, we need many lines for the run command we need. So the syntax for that will be adding one of these. I cannot remember the name, but this is just an example, right? So the first step will be echoing in the console, like the job was automatically triggered by a and what GitHub event. In this case, it will be a push. This job is now running on a, and it will tell you about the runner. This will be Ubuntu or Linux. Linux, because it's referring to the operating system. The name of this branch is, and from the GitHub environment, it will have the reference of the name of the branch. In this case, it's Hello Actions. And the repository, it's the name of the repository, right? If I remember well, it was global habweek slash GitHub Actions or something like that. Then it's going to check out. In this case, I'm using the latest version, which is version 4, to the repo. It's going to check out to the repo, and it's going to echo the repo. In this case, the name of the repo has been cloned to the runner. The workflow is now ready to test your code on the runner, and we're going to not test it, but we're going to just list the repository, right? And the status of the job once it's done. And that will be it. Let's git status, git add the modifications, git commit -m, and this will be fix, add some space in the YAML file, and let's push that, because if we don't push it, there's no trigger, right? So let's return to our GitHub, and if you put attention, or if you haven't see what this section here is about, there's a dedicated section of these actions. So let's open that, and this probably, okay, this is still running, so sometimes it takes more time than others, but hey, I made a test like 2 hours ago that we can watch, but let's see, because it's interesting to see how this is running. Okay, well, for the moment it was done. So here we will see a list of all the workflows that we have. So remember, the name, just regular name, was Hello GitHub Actions. So all actions or all workflows with that name are be call here. We will check in a second when we add another workflow that we are going to have another tab, right? So our workflows, in this case, all workflows are just these two, the workflow name, and it has a number. So in this case, it was the first time it was run, it was the second time it was run. In this case, we can filter just for a specific workflow, but it gets more useful when you have more and more, right? So let's open the second one, which is the one we ran a minute ago. Trigger via push 1 minute ago. Alberto push this ref to this branch, right? The status was success and it took 17 seconds to upload. Artifacts. What is an artifact? Well, you can think of an artifact as a piece of information. You can say, like, for example, the node modules or the build or the bundle or the distribution or the output of your application, like things you want to save, that you want to say, hey, this runner starts and die with the action, but this piece of software, this information, these files, these etc., I don't want them to lose, so I store them in an artifact. So maybe another sequence of workflows can use that artifacts later. Maybe one that needs to, one, for example, if you are going to deploy, think of it as if first you need to build the project, right? Because else you're pushing to GitHub a build distribution, which is not correct. So what you do when you want to deploy in your own computer, you make a build for the project, for the production environment, then you take that build and that's the one you upload to the hosting service you're using. In this case will be the same, but you're not going to upload the build to GitHub. That's not a good practice. You're going to say to the actions that you want to do a job or a workflow for doing the build, and in a separate workflow, you're going to take that build and deploy it. That build is going to be stored in an artifact, for example, right? So I hope everything's clear here. Let me see if you have any questions this far and monitor if the stream goes right. Okay, seems that its stream is going right and no questions here. So I'll return here. Let's now explore the GitHub Actions. See that this is a single job. So the Explore GitHub Actions, it's just one job. If we have more jobs here, we can cascade them. And here we will see a list of jobs, depending again on your needs. You can define many architectures. So we're going to open the job, and this job, what it says, it's first it needs to set up. You will see this in every time. Another one you will see many times again, it's the checkout once you check in, and the complete job, right? So run echo job was automatically triggered by a push event. So here we change the GitHub.event name to push correctly. This job is now running on a Linux server instead of runner.us, right? The name of this branch is refs has hello actions. And the repository is albert47/GitHub actions, right? Perfect. Check out the repository. Here we can collapse it to see what it's doing, because this one is simple. It just runs the echo on terminal and the shell shows the output. Similar to a regular terminal, and this is a custom step. In this one that we are using a more complicated one that comes from the marketplace of GitHub Actions. And well, another thing I want to take a moment to explain here, and I think it's very important, it's that we didn't install anything. This is not a package. This is not something that we need to say, for example, hey, I'm going to use this package or this action that it's pre-made. You just need to make the reference to the repo or how it is called in the GitHub Marketplace, GitHub Actions Marketplace. We can take a look to that GitHub Action Marketplace in a second. But first, let me explore more of what this is doing. So first, it's syncing with the repository, getting the Git version information, and temporarily overriding the home variable. Then it's deleting the contents of this, initializing the repository, and this initializing the repository, it's doing that by using the master, blah, 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 config to the branch name, default, what else? Disabling automatic calculation, setting up OAuth, fetching the repository information from the repo references, determining out checkout info. This will be, no info here. Well, then git pers disable, checking out the ref, switch to the branch that we're using, and set up track to the origin that we were using also. And this, if I can remember, it's the hash of the commit we sent. Well, now that we explained this, let's take a look to the GitHub Actions repository marketplace. So let's take a look to that. GitHub Actions marketplace. GitHub, let's build from here, / marketplace, or things like that. So we have enhance your workflow with extensions, right? So if we see a list of the actions, we have AI's assistant, AP management, backup utilities for chat, for code quality, for reviewing, for scanning, the CI thing, well, continuous integration, the code searching, deployment, gains, mobile monitoring, a lot of categories really. So this is the one we are using right now. So let's open it. It's normal that it appears directly here on the landing page because I think it probably will be one of the most uses. This one, it's even verified. So these ones, the tag I was mentioning, for example, build and test both are passing. This is the version 4. This action this action checks out to your repository under the GitHub workspace, so your workflows can access to it, right? That's very important. So that's why a lot of people uses it. And this is the usage, for example, uses action GitHub with, and this with, it's one of the other key pair values we can configure for a job. So how you differentiate when a job it's starting and it's ending with this dash. In our examples, this one it's just one line. This one just one line. This is 2 lines. It has name and uses. We can add names to this. Don't worry. For example, the ones that has names. So this has the name checkout repository code, right? Checkout repository code. This one, as they don't have names, the name or the label to identify them will be the command itself. So here we will run the echo name of this branch is safe. But that will be just it. Then we'll have the list file in the repository, for example, and this is going to list the files and it's going to run an ls. So this will the same. If this doesn't have an name, it will put the run ls home blah 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 here as the name. No differences. It just helps us to identify properly what we're doing. It doesn't change the output, it doesn't change anything, but it makes more human readable. So many times I recommend use names here, and also separating and structuring well your workflow files. Yeah, the checkout, we were there. So we can check for the repository, the default will be the same we're using here. But if for any reason you want to check out to any other repository, you can change the repository name here. The references, the token. In some cases, this is necessary. Um, for example, I work with workflows that requires a GitHub token specifically because we have a node package for internal use of our team. So that package it's private and it's only available through the token, and that's why I need to add it here. In some cases, when you take the security to more levels, an SH key might be required. Actually, yeah, for work stuff also, I need the SH kit. So you're adding security here, right? Path, clean, filter. Uh, well, more and more um, definitions that we can find here. They give you even examples of how to use this, and for example, fetch dep. And well, here they don't mention it, but if you want, you can come here and check the repo. Mm, where, where use latest version. You can change the version by actions. Actions, it's repo directly from GitHub. It's verified. GitHub has manually verified the creator. Well, if we come here to the repository and we open up pull request and stuff, in the code one, we can see how this is structured. So, action YAML. The name will be the checkout, the description, the inputs. These are the ones we saw on the with. So when we want to define an action, we have to do things like this. In our case, we're just consuming them, so yeah, you don't have to worry. But it's important, it is good to know how they are structured and how they are built, what they do, what they use. And well, that will be it. So they mention, for example, repository name with the owner, for example, action/checkout. The default will be this. That's the same we check in the here for the usage, right? So I just wanted for you to see how these are built, how you can access to the repositories, so you can see the files and see what are they doing internally, because in this case, this one verified by GitHub, and the owner, it's well, the action in itself, it has a lot of contributors and it's well maintained by the community, right? But there are others that you may want to use that they are not so um, popular, or they are not so maintained, or they are not so efficient. What I want to say here is that you probably need, or you probably would be better if you inspect it. Actually, I have that problem with a package I used for Firebase, and I realized that from that I was using had a lot of issues, and at some point someone said like, hey, maintainer, it's not longer responding. I forked myself this action, I changed it, so I fixed the bug we all have, right? And so I changed my implementation to use that action then. So yeah, that's how it works. What else? For example, let's look for an action like, for example, one for Firebase, let's say. We were checking GitHub action for Firebase, Firebase app distribution, deployed to Firebase hosting, right? So Firebase hosting, GitHub actions creates a new preview channel, and it's associated with the preview URL for the pull request on GitHub, right? So setup, a full setup guidance can be found here on the Firebase hosting docs. I can get up with the quickly with default configurations, blah blah blah. Usage deployed to a new preview for every pull request. That's really interesting, right? So let's try to implement this. Let me see if any questions this far. Um, I wanted to add an action to add live updates my GitHub README every time I made a commit, but the action I was using didn't support push events, so I forked it and added it, then used in my action. Yeah, that's great actually. So think of the community actions are none of them all think of, well, how do I put this? When you see an action on the marketplace, it doesn't mean the creator thought of that action for all the people to use them. Some of them really just saw a need they had and then decided to publish them, right? I mean, that's perfectly fine. Actually, that's something we need to be grateful for, right? So, for example, for this one you were mentioning, probably the author didn't need a push event because he was doing maybe just for pull request or for things like that, or for some reason he decided he did not support that trigger. In this case, it's our turn or advantage to see the code they are generating since it is open source. Take it and start building for them. That's the code. That's the core and the heart, the soul of open source, right? For example, the checkout one. It's normal that it has support and it works with all the things because it is something that the company created. So they wanted to use it for many other purposes and reasons. So big open source projects are maintained by the community are, I have to say, like how special. No, maybe something like rare, and you're more likable to see projects like the one I mentioned, right? That you can see it, you can see forks, you can see other developers, like indie developers, trying to figuring out which one works better, and the community that will be built around that need, for saying it in a way, we will decide which one is better. So hey, I think it's a great tale to say. Yeah, he called push events boring. Yeah, that is why I love so much open source. Right, right. So great. For example, for me, you may be wondering why are you doing one with Firebase? Well, because I love Firebase, and in my regular needs, doing this it's very useful. Maybe for some of you it is not. So give me here an idea on the comments after we are done with this Firebase one. That if you want one, for example, to do. I don't know, ESLint reports for your pull request. That's another one I have built. For running, I don't know either. Just reports for your pull request too, because that's another one I have built. But this will depend a lot on your needs, what you want to do, right? So let's change git status. Okay, git checkout, and this will be Firebase deploy. And in here, these will have, well, we are going to add some names to this. So just for you to check, this will be trigger name, and this will be running name. Running. I'm missing an N. And this will be the branch name. I'm missing that. And well, you get the idea. You will get the idea when you see these changes. And we're going to add another file, and this is going to be firebase deploy.yaml. I think it doesn't make difference if you call it YAML with the A or YAML just directly, but I liked it more like this. So let's start doing that. Firebase hosting app. The name for this will be Firebase temp deploy. The run name will be not this one. Temp deploy on the GitHub actor. No, GitHub repository. What else? So this will be an on, not on push, but on pull request. And the job for this will be deploy. Yeah, I like that name. Why am I having these kind of errors? Jobs. Oh yeah, I'm missing the S. Yeah, perfect. Firebase hosting action app creates a new private channel and its associated preview URL for every pull request on your GitHub repository. It's a comment to the pull request with the preview URL. Nice, so that you can check blah blah blah. Update the preview URL. So usage. This is an example of the usage on pull request. For example, these on. Also, I like that pull request because branches, this will be just on develop. So if no pull request is made for develop, this won't work, right? This can be because it doesn't care for us if we're, for example, if we're following Git flow for our developing style. Maybe to the main branch, it doesn't make sense a temporary deploy. That way, we will want full deployment, right? And for other branches, it doesn't make sense either because no full features will be available. Only the ones for develop will be the ones that have a full feature for us to test. So yeah, jobs build and preview runs Ubuntu latest steps. Yeah, here we need to update this actions checkout for. Any build steps in here, for example, npm run. Okay, yeah, see, for example, I'm going to install npm CLI and then copy completely this. Log into Firebase. Okay, from here, this doesn't make sense. Install, log into Firebase, deploy to Firebase. Yeah, this will be in case we wanted to do it manually. The difference between doing this manually with this and this one is that they don't do preview deployment channel, and the other one is that they don't generate the report and add it to the pull request, right? So let's delete all of that and let's add that here. So another one we're missing, and it's nice, it's the name build, and the other thing is install the CI. So name install dependencies and npm CI. It's the one I want to use. npm, it's going to build npm run build. And well, with that, I think we're ready. The expires one I like because it gives you the control of how many days this works. I'm going to change to 5 days. Project ID, I will change this with my ID of the projects in a second. The secret Firebase account, and the GitHub token, right? So this one is going to help also to see how to configure your secrets, right? So let's do that. For this to work, we should have a valid project. So also here, what I'm going to do is generate, probably I took it from internet, a boilerplate of anything that works directly here. So what will be great, next JS dot examples. Showcase next example. So we will take one from this. Personal blog application, to-do application, document managed system, quiz app, e-commerce. One that is short. For example, this one, personal blog application. Where I can see the oh, come on. I want the GitHub repo. Huh. Okay. I'll say next. Yes. Plus tailwind. Well, you know what? Let's ask a pilot for that. I want a simple app for a blog that is built with next.js and tailwind. So let's do that. It's creating all the stuff. And now we have it. Next.js blog, pages, blah, blah, blah. So if I come here to this package, Next.js blog, next deb, so I would say cd to next. Well, you know what? I need to take all of these outside. Well, no, it doesn't matter. I'll just need to ignore the node modules, but inside the carpet here. Yeah, and it haven't been generated, so cd to next JS blog npm install. The public favicon. What favicon I have? Well, we'll discover. It's tiles, global, network config, pages, app, and we will see what does that outputs. Meanwhile, it loads the packages. Let me see if you have any question this far. I have to leave early, unfortunately, but thanks for the stream. Hey, don't worry. Thank you for being so participative. I really appreciate that. I hope you can watch the recording later. I'm definitely going to check out MARP. Yeah, thank you so much. I I really love that tool. Well, I am loving it. Then we can return to here. Okay, it's still downloading, so we'll give them some minutes. In the meantime, you can tell me what have you thought about the session. Do you are liking it? Also, how about the rest of Global Hack Week? Okay, we have our packages now. So here we can say npm run dev. And this is on localhost 300. And what we have, come on, load. Come on, you can do it. You can do it, load. Okay, we can close this. Let's keep it closing tabs we don't need anymore. This one we need. This one we need. And probably we can close this for the moment. It haven't braked, right? No, it haven't. Come on. Okay, welcome to my blog. It's not that beautiful. But hey, it's something. We can, we can. I'll leave this as an open source thing. If you want to, if you want to work in a blog or contribute to open source, you're welcome to do it in here. So let's deploy that. In the normal workflow, we'll need to open Firebase. Firebase deploy. And let's see. Not on Firebase app. So here we need to add a new file, Firebase Firebase.json. And from that, in here, we are going to go to the console. We are going to take advantage of the project we already work on, which is Global Hack with Cloud 25, and going directly to the the hosting. Here on hosting, we have something already up there, but use. Let's ask Gemini. Okay, actually, navigate to hosting, blah blah blah, deployment settings, connect to GitHub, optional recommender, use. What do the Firebase.json file should contain? Okay, let's copy this and let's paste it here. Public ignore Firebase.json / node modules and everything. Rewire it. Okay. Would that be the same for next.js plus Tailwind project? Yeah, and we're just missing this. And that will be it. That will be it. So just let's make sure the next config, well, if we said something like next build, yeah, sorry, that will be npm run build. And the build output also what the build generated was. Okay, still creating the build. So let's wait to see the output. Come on. Okay, thank you, Gemini. We can close this for the moment. Collecting page data. Error failed to collect page data post ID. Oh. Okay. So for the moment, I think it will be better that we just stay here and we don't do anything else. I mean, no moving to here and here. Now returns, and here now returns. I hope that works. Okay, starting out. Let's wait to see if that doesn't break. Okay, perfect. No rejects, no anything. So if we close this and now we build it, shouldn't have any problem. What? For posts ID? Get static. Okay, I'll delete this completely. And I will try again. Nice. And build it. Okay, looks like we now have an output. Let's see which output is it. What? What is this? In the next group, okay, yeah, it's here. And what? Which contains the necessary files for running application to production. Static server. Okay, so if I'm understanding right, here on Firebase, I need to tell but if the build is in the .next folder, okay, let's do that. So for next config, model exports. list. And I'm guessing here the Firebase should have something as list. Yep. Yep, nice. So let's run dev. No, sorry. Let's run the build again. Wow, actually, this is not working, but it's not for the reason. It's this. Okay, come on, Gemini. You're better than that. Let's see if this works now. It makes more sense since this out folder we check it out on the git ignore. No warnings this time. Yeah, and we have our out. Nice, amazing, amazing. So, out. And now Firebase deploy. In the current active project, run this command. You need to specify a project. You have two options. Run this command, send an active project, Firebase use add. Okay, yeah, this is because of the instructions. Firebase init hosting. Use an existing project. This one. Public directory out. Well, in this case, it will be, yeah, no, yeah, out. I would say no. I would say no. I would say no. No. Okay, perfect. What is this? Firebase.json. Okay, yeah. Firebase deploy. Okay, now if I check these, and open it, we should see the same page. Amazing. So we made this possible, right? And this is going to be the one that it's already deployed. So let's make some corrections and let's start experimenting in our pages index. Welcome to my global hack week blog. This simple blog application built with Next.js to test the actions. And I'm going to hurry since we're running out of time. Nice. And let's create the Firebase deploy. So we install dependencies, we make the build, and then after that we have to set this up. So let's return. Okay. Um, options. Firebase service account. We will look that. Service account. String required. This is a service account JSON key. The easy way to set it up is to run Firebase need hosting GitHub. However, it can be created manually. If I want to create it manually, how could I do that? Well, it doesn't matter. I will run the app. What? Okay. You're about to initialize blah 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 blah. Authorize Firebase CLI. Yeah, I authorize it. Use GitHub Mobile. Okay, I approve it. I'm being rejected. Okay, amazing. It's important to store these as encrypted secret to prevent the unobtained access to your Firebase project. Setting the secrets area, blah blah blah. For which GitHub repository you like to do this? GitHub Actions, yeah. What? Let's do it again. I hope. Come on, again? Okay, amazing. Yeah. Uploaded account JSON to GitHub as a secret. Nice. And okay, Firebase service account. The name will be then this complete global happy Firebase 25, and the repo token is the last thing we want to check. Well, if anything, there is no other way to add secrets that easy to you. You can come here to the settings. In the security part, there is secrets and variables, and here you can add action to the actions, the repository secrets, and other environment secrets. Right. So last thing, it's the repo token associated. You need to set this yourself. GitHub set it automatically. So perfect. It all seems set up the workflow to run a build script before we deploy it. Let's say no. In this moment, let's say no. And let's do all of that. Git status. We modified the hello Axios YAML and the git ignore. We add a Firebase deploy YAML. Firebase, what? Hosting, wow. I said no. What an invasive. Well, but see, they give us the thing we wanted. So only things missing here are checks, content reads, jobs, if runs on Ubuntu, check out this, and that will be it. We are going to delete that because we don't want that. What else? Untracked. Next, yes. Git status. And this probably will be better if I move all of these outside there. Yeah. Which ones? No, cancel. So I delete the README. Git ignore. Okay, we have a git ignore here. I didn't know that. Interesting. Yeah, let's remove the previous one. So do you want to replace it? Replace. This, it's empty now, and we can delete it. Git status. Oh, we made a terrible mistake. Yeah. Let's see, git status. No, we delete that git. Oh my god, that was a terrible mistake because now having yeah, no. Okay, that was trash. Yeah. Actually, I'm going to close this. I'm going to do that same thing I done. Cancel, delete this README. Let's come here again. Put it here. Now, yeah, I do delete the next blog folder. Come on. We're running out of time. Come on. Yeah, I see. CD global hardware cloud, and this is GitHub Actions. Git status contract. So we modified the hello and the git ignore. We have the store also dot ds store here that we don't need. The Fireworks RC, now that one we need. The Fireworks JSON we need. Next config we need. The output we don't need that either. Packages, pages, public styles. Okay, nice. Git status again. It seems like everything's coming. Git add everything. Git commit fit Firebase deploy action plus dummy project. Git push to Firebase deploy. And the other thing we're going to do is we set this to be just for develop. So we need to git checkout -b develop and here what we are going to do is we are going to git merge main. We're going to save that, and we updated the slides and stuff. We're going to git push to develop, and the difference in those branches will allow us to see the deployments. So no, this one. Okay, let's return. Come on, we can do this. 8 minutes. You have actions. We'll do a pull request from the Firebase deploy branch to the develop branch. Now for this, develop. There isn't anything to compare? Come on. Yeah, they have to be. Okay, let's do another git checkout to the Firebase deploy one. And in this one, we are going to make another change to the index. And we are going to say hover underline. I don't like that. Yeah, actually, this is intended. Git add what I made. Git commit fix no underline. Git push to Firebase deploy. Let's refresh and let's see if now we have something to compare. Yeah, perfect. Let's create a pull request. And that should trigger our action. So we have the thing happening here. We see that some checks haven't complete yet. We set the hello world since, well, this is in every push. And also on the pull request, we are having the Firebase temporal deploy. So let's open that. The setup job was good. The install of the dependencies was good. So we're just missing the building of the the building of the project, the same as we do in our computers. It's happening, but now on the worker, on the server, right? Let's see if you have any questions this far. Okay, no? Let's hurry to finish and grab the session. And well, that's not for us to say, but yeah, now the build was done correctly, and we see we have an error here on the Firebase extended action, and that is because I'm not sure actually. New request error to message resource not accessible by integration. What? Okay, well, it doesn't matter. You get the whole idea. We just will needed a little bit more of debugging this to see what the output was broken. Um, repo token, repo service account. Yeah, I missed the your Firebase project ID. Oh, fuck. Your Firebase project ID. Come on. What's my Firebase project ID? Configuration of the project. Project ID is this one. Okay, let's do that quick change, and if that works, we are on the other side. If it doesn't work, we will take it as it is. And this should trigger another deployment. The bad thing is that we need to wait to the build it's done again. But build was correct one time. It doesn't have any. It will not make sense that build fails now, right? But sometimes it happens. Well, at the moment, we just need to wait this for the build to end. And actually, I just received an email that says like, "Hey, your Firebase temporal deployed was failed. You cannot deploy due to these reasons." Right now, we're again it failed. Well, this time we're going to take it as it is. We have the entry point like this. New request error. Some reason this is failing, but this is because we're using an action that already exists. What we do with the build and installing the dependencies clean, it's nice at the moment. So we will need to debug this later. And that's it. This is the repo. If you want to check it out and try it yourself, uh, well, you have all the things I share with you. I'm going to close these sessions. And well, thanks a lot for joining me for this introduction to GitHub Actions. I hope you learned something today. And if you have any further question, I'll be around in Discord every time. So also, I'll be back like in 2 hours for the second part of IoT on Cloud Part 2. Yesterday, we kind of struggle having to configure all the, all the, I'm missing the word, Node MCU board. Right now, I managed to program it, so we are going to explain what I did. So, see you in a couple of hours. Bye.